Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. Our guest today is Paul Dumas, and this is Smart Business Moves.
Woohoo! Hey,
Coming
Paul.
from his penthouse suite in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Okay,
I wish the weather was as nice as it is right there.
that is what it looks like. Yeah, very nice.
Oh, it's not too bad today. The sun's shining. God, it was a
Yes,
miserable weekend.
I felt bad. All the Memorial Dayers coming in on this weekend. It was like 56 degrees Saturday morning. I went, yeah, have fun at the beach.
Where are you, Paul?
I'm literally sitting in my office in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina, which is about, 12, 15 miles south of the airport in Myrtle Beach. So the skyline behind me is about, 18, 20 miles north of me.
He's just
I'm
a
not
couple
on the
hours up
beach.
the road from me, Liz.
Oh,
Mhm.
oh, that far? Okay. I was thinking.
Yeah,
closer.
I think door to door when I went down there, it was about 82 miles door to door. So that's not too bad. It was a beautiful drive.
Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about today? Well, actually, before we talk about what we're talking about, maybe we should talk about is on the who's on the call today. This is your first time on Smart Business Moves, isn't it, Paul?
No, we did one several weeks ago where we were talking about just how scary is AI going to be.
Oh yeah, duh. What am I thinking? Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
today we were talking about maybe taking it to the next level and maybe get a little bit further into the weeds on what we can do.
Oh my gosh, that was only a few weeks ago. My memory is shot.
Oh, I could be wrong. It may have been 3 months ago for all I remember, but
Let's
it was
recap.
it was this year. It was this year. I know that.
And really, now that you say that, it was not that long ago. Really, we're heavy into the AI weeds there, and it hasn't been that long since AI's been a big thing. So yeah.
And it changes every week. It seems like.
Oh my
So
gosh, yeah, absolutely.
we'll have to see. It's fun though.
I just got the thing from Bard saying, "Hey, sign up. Come on,
You
Liz."
know, one thing that we do on Smart Business Moves from time to time when we think about it is share a piece of information that we think might be useful. And Paul, one of the things that we track from time to time is a thing that Department of Labor does called a JOLTS report, and it's job openings and LTS job openings, and can't remember the
I remember. It's not even
anyway.
tip of my tongue.
Today is that Wednesday,
Woohoo! Jobs report.
and there were some surprised people. It was
Good.
you
I'm
can
excited. What are you going to show us?
yeah, just at a high level. These are the 2023 numbers, and it was over. These are in thousands, so it was like 10.5 million job openings in January. It went down below 10 million, almost 10 million, but it was going down. It went down to 9.7 million in March, and it popped back up again in April, and everybody was expecting it to continue to trend down. And so, if we thought that there were going to be more, fewer open jobs, implying that there might be more people in the job market. This is not good news for those of us who are looking to hire people, because there are more open jobs in the market now than there
Dang,
has been over the last 2 months.
dang. What happened? What's being attributed?
I haven't heard. I haven't been able to. I just caught the headline that the JOLTS number went back up, so I wanted to pull this up. But the economists weren't expecting this. And there's a big thing going on about, or is the Fed going to continue to raise interest rates? And this is another reason for them to continue to do that, to slow the economy. They want to see this job openings number go down, because as long as that number is high, employers are going to keep paying more and more to compete with trying to fill them, which
No.
will make inflation worse.
Sean is saying survey. I don't know what that means.
Survey says.
Yeah, what do you mean, Sean? Give us a
Oh,
little
he
bit
was
more.
given the definition of the JOLT as the job openings and labor
Job
turnover
openings and
survey.
labor turnover. Yeah, labor turnover. JOLTS report. Thank you, Sean.
Good
Saved our
job.
bacon.
Good job. Good job.
I saw something on Facebook where he's got a graduation going on in his household. He's got a 8th grader who's graduating today,
All right.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. The graduations are such a bigger deal now. I have a friend that actually it's my daughter's best friend, and her daughter was in a cap and gown graduating from preschool.
Huh.
I was like, what? What's happening?
A little tiny cap and gown.
It was on the cap was pretty big, and then the gown was trailing on the ground.
Oh.
Well, I guess
Right.
anything you can do to make the kids like school better, I'm all for it. Go for it.
My youngest son, Richard, graduates from high school Friday.
Oh my
Oh, that's a
God.
big one.
Yeah.
And he's going to college too. He's got a really sweet deal there.
Yeah, he's going to NC State in the fall.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. It's exciting.
Isn't he going on a full scholarship too?
Indeed, he is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's amazing too.
Can I brag just a minute? There's a scholarship that NC State has. It's called the Park Scholarship, and it's basically a leadership type scholarship, and 3,500 kids applied to it, and they award 40 of them, and he was one of the 40.
That's
He had to
awesome.
go through a bunch of interviews, and it was kind of a intensive thing, but it was cool. And
Amazing. I love it. He's a great person to win it too. I mean, he super smart kid, super bright. Yeah, I think that's super exciting. And
he,
can I say it one more time?
he's more of an adult. He can carry we should have him do smart business moves. He's actually a better conversationalist than I am by far. Knows more stuff too.
He's actually been an adult the entire time I've known him. He has always been very mature. Nah. All right.
So we digress. Thank you for indulging us, Paul.
No problem.
I've been having some discussions with Paul. He's kind of a wealth of knowledge on a number of things from a digital marketing standpoint, but with how AI has become a more relevant thing recently, or at least certainly getting a lot more attention. He's been doing a lot of research and figuring out a lot of stuff, and has some insight in terms of what digital marketing and SEO is going to look like, and what websites are going to look like in the future, and how all that's going to work. And he's got a crystal ball. He's going to share with us a little bit in terms of some things that we might need to be thinking about now in order to be prepared for the changes that are coming down the road.
Cool. Tell us.
And of course, this is being recorded, so when I'm wrong half the time, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, we'll have you back in a year. We'll do outtakes.
Well, we were talking about, I don't even remember where it was. I should have looked it up, but last month or last couple of weeks, Bill Gates was doing a symposium where he predicted that within 5 years, sites like Google and Amazon would be obsolete because AI is going to take over everything. Whether that's true or not, we'll see. But his vision was that everybody would basically be able to customize their own personal AI assistant that would go out into the electric globe, or whatever you want to call it, the internet, and would filter all the information to be customized for you. So why would I ever have to go to Amazon.com? If I want something, the AI tool will be able to find it. There may be, a modicum of truth to that. And so what we have to do is think about, okay, have all been told over the years that our website is kind of the first impression of our business, right? And
Yeah.
you got to do what you got to do to get people to see your website, whether it's running ads online or social media things or search engine optimization. I don't see that 100% going away. But what's going to happen is with AI, we're going to have another channel that we're going to have to pay attention to of where we can get eyeballs, where we can get visitors to our information, our website, essentially. Because say 10 years ago, people were just excited because, hey, I could have a website, I could go in and run some ads, and we knew that people were looking, for instance, for house cleaners in pick a city, any city. It was a what and where type paradigm. It was easy. And not everybody was doing it yet, so if you knew what you were doing, you could get to the top pretty easily. And then smartphones came around, and suddenly everything became geotagged. Everybody knows where we are at all times. I mean, I'm sitting here with a tablet, I've got my phone. The internet knows where I am, usually more specifically than I know myself. So then instead of looking for what and where, we just could look for stuff near me. And Siri and all these little tools would go, well, we know where near me is because we know exactly where you are. We've been tracking you, whether you like it or not. Still, it was the internet, though. You were still going to a place, a website, or a Yelp listing, or a Facebook page. There was something tangible you were going to where you had an opportunity to impress that person with whatever information or functionality, and you could have a dynamic this and all that. With AI, when it starts to take over search, it's going to create, in my opinion, the need for almost two different, not websites, but two different sides of the same coin in terms of the information that you present. So think of your website like this. You have the user experience, which is what you have now. Most of us business owners, we have a website. That's your user experience. If it's a residential cleaning service, your site has 10 to 15 pages. You got a pretty home page, says, hey, we're the best. We do business here. Give us a call. And then you've got your services with your checklists. You've got a reviews page. Maybe you have an about us page and a please work here page, that kind of thing. That's all the user experience. We all try and make it as pretty as possible, as informative as possible, and make it where the average visitor to your site can get the information they need within 60 to 120 seconds. Then they're going to lose interest and go somewhere else. And we got to do it in succinct ways of presenting the information to impress them, to get them to pick up the phone. That's perfectly fine. You're always going to need that on some level. It's like designing a beautiful brochure or designing a beautiful informative business card. You're always going to have that out there so that people can go, and it becomes a credibility statement, and it's like having your billboard on every highway in your area. We don't do that, so our website becomes that. But with AI, we're also going to have enough content on our site so that we can be the answer to everybody's AI questions. So right now, let's think of just a typical cleaning business website. For instance, maybe they have a frequently asked questions section, and maybe they have somewhere between 15 to 30 questions. Who provides the cleaning supplies? Well, unless you specifically request that we use a particular product, we provide all the supplies. Some cleaning services may use the homeowner's vacuum to keep from cross-contamination, all that. But the answer to that question may be 50 words, right? And that's the user experience. Let's be succinct, to the point. We don't want our users coming to our website and having to read Encyclopedia Britannica just to get an answer. That's the user experience. But then how do we make that question be an answer to AI? And you have to be as possible. So perhaps, as I would envision it, you almost have to behind the scenes database or information base that instead of having a 50-word answer to that question, maybe you have to have a 500 or 1,000-word answer to that question. Incorporates not only do we provide the cleaning products, but please remember that we also clean in these areas. And then that AI engine can digest all that information, and you become the authority for that question. And then imagine having to multiply that question towards how many different ways can people look for you online. And if they're talking to a device that's AI based, how many hundreds, if not thousands, of variations of questions are people going to ask where you really, really want to be the answer? And so in the short term, we've been experimenting with some techniques. Let's for the sake of simplification, most websites out there use WordPress. It's just a software program that sites are built on. It's the most popular one in the world. Doesn't make it the best one, but it's the most popular one. So let's assume in WordPress that you can actually add functionality through either like a glossary or a knowledge base. A knowledge base, a lot of software companies use knowledge bases where you go into a page and there's a search bar at the top, and you search and it gives you a list of articles on different topics. That's just the knowledge base is just a fancy word for like a help desk type thing of documents. Most cleaning services right now don't have the need for that level of information. But maybe in the future, in the very near future, you want to have either a simple little glossary or a simple knowledge base so that right now maybe you're an eco-friendly cleaning service and you use natural green products. Well, in the future, you may want to actually list all those products and have paragraphs describing why they work the best. And if there's a material data safety sheet on it, then go ahead and include a copy of that. You just want to have it be as robust as possible, but that information almost has to be hidden from the user experience because no user on your website cares that much about reading all of that information. They're not going to come into your site and spend 3 hours reading everything. But if I'm asking my AI tool, hey, I need to find a house cleaner that uses eco-friendly products so that my kid with asthma doesn't get sick every time you come there, having all that content on your site is structured in such a way the AI can see it, maybe even Google can see it, so it does help with traditional SEO, but it doesn't affect the user experience. And that's what we're talking about is how do you structure all of this information where, you know, the age-old iceberg metaphor, the tip of the iceberg above the water is your user experience and everything below the water is just going to give information about your business so that all of these AI engines can come in and see that you're an authority in everything. And the challenge is going to be, how do we predict what information needs to be in there? So right now, we're literally just trying to build as much information as possible because we don't know how people are going to search in a year. Right now, they don't know how to do it, but they're going to get good at it.
So with all that information that, you know, an FAQ being several, you know, hundreds of words as opposed to, you know, tens of words, AI engines would be crawling that and somebody would be asking a question of an AI engine and it would be providing an answer based on your information, but would it actually result in you getting a prospective client, or would they just be taking information off your website and giving it to the person asking the question?
Yes and no. Let's say it depends on what the intent of the person asking the question. User intent is a huge part of all of this. It always has been. So for instance, in Google, people a lot of times as part of an SEO campaign will do blogging. And the idea is let's expand how many keywords our site can be found for. So you'll see blogs out there that have, you know, 10 tips for hiring a professional cleaning service, or use this easy guide for cleaning a stainless steel sink. What does that have
How
to
to
do
remove cat hair from a sofa?
Yeah. What does that have to do with getting a customer? Almost nothing. But that content allows your site to be found for more variations of keywords. Maybe somebody else picks up on a blog article and they share it on their social media, or they link to it from their blog, and suddenly you're getting an SEO benefit without even knowing it. And when somebody's doing blogging for SEO, usually they don't care if their customers are reading those articles. They only care if Google is seeing those articles. And a lot of this content is going to be the same way. If the user intent is to learn more about cleaning a sink, then we don't really care. But if the intent is find me a cleaning service that meets XYZ criteria, then yes, absolutely, it can lead to a customer, because the next question when they present, hey, this company meets the criteria for what you just asked. Okay, can you call them, please? Or what's their phone number? You know, the next step is the user is going to be led just intrinsically to, okay, that's the one I want. Let's contact that entity, that business. And the question becomes, do they even ever see your website in that process or not? Again, going back to that Bill Gates conversation, he seems to think that nobody's ever going to look at a website again. Eventually, they're just going to get information from their AI assistant, and they're going to trust that AI assistant's not going to mislead them. That we don't know a lot about it, whether that's going to actually come to fruition. I mean, there's no shortage of articles out now saying that these AI engines are really good at giving incorrect information and making it sound good. But surely that's going to be fixed at some point, I would think.
So the way everything is set up now, like if I write this really great article on how to, remove cat hair from a sofa, and maybe it ranks number one on the first page in Google, people click on it, I get SEO value. And especially if they're reading the whole article and spending a lot more time on my website, I presume that to be true. And if ChatGPT just basically reads that article and gives them a 3-paragraph answer from my article, I get no value out of that, right?
No, not really, because it comes back to intent. If we're trying to do SEO, which is at its core, hey, can I rank better on Google when somebody looks for house cleaners near me, and you target that area, blogs can serve a purpose, because whether that link or that activity comes from halfway around the world or not, it just increases your overall popularity in the Google algorithm. With SEO transitioning towards including AI, the approach we've been taking for our clients when we do SEO is trying to localize the content far more than ever, like in the blogs. So instead of just saying, here's a guide to spring cleaning, the article may be 10 reasons why hiring company A for your spring cleaning in Charleston, South Carolina is your best bet, that kind of thing. So that you still get the same idea, answering the same kind of tips for spring cleaning, but trying to localize it so that in the future, when the AI is asked, hey, does anybody have any spring cleaning specials in Charleston? Then maybe that article plays into part of the answer to that question, because the AI sees that, here's 2,000 words about spring cleaning, and this company is a house cleaner in Charleston. Let's make them the answer. We don't know with 100% certainty that that's how they're going to integrate Bard, which is Google's AI competitor to ChatGPT, into the Google search algorithm, but it's not a stretch to think that that's what they're going to do. They're basically, first and foremost, we probably should define what these things are in terms of AI. AI is only as smart as the data that it consumes. And when ChatGPT was first launched, they came out and said, listen, there's a cutoff. I think it was like November 1st,
2021.
2021, that sounds right. So if you asked it who the president was today, it didn't know, because the data was cut off. And then you also have these national groups, like the most popular headline I've seen is like Universal Music Group, that owns 50% of the music rights in the world, blocking the AI engines from accessing their catalog and pulling information, because they felt there were some copyright issues there. And there may very well be. I'm certainly not a lawyer. The Supreme Court's going to have a fun 20 years talking about what AI is going to do, but not my problem. But the AI engine is basically, they call it a natural language. It consumes all of this content so that it can, at its core, creatively plagiarize back a good answer. Doesn't make it a true answer, but they consume the information. They're prompted by some user. I mean, when you go to ChatGPT, you type in, please give me this, and the better the prompt is, the better the results of what you get. But all it is a creative way to be able to give you an answer that is fluent in English or whatever language you're trying to do. We're all using English when we're using ChatGPT here. So it's really just a language machine. I'm no data scientist, no computer scientist, but in some way calling it AI is almost a misnomer, because we've all seen the science fiction movies where AI gets smarter. There's no intuition in this system. It's a language model. If you knew every single word in the English language and had access to every novel and every copy of Life magazine, Time magazine, the medical journals, and you were asked a question, you probably could give an articulate answer back. That's what this is. It's a language model that can give an articulate answer to just about any question, because it's consumed, the sum of human knowledge with some restrictions. So what we have to do is make sure with our website and the content and all that we want to make sure we have enough content to hopefully be an answer to whatever people are asking. Because once this gets rolled out and fully integrated into all these searches, you got to be the answer to the question. The challenge today is we don't know what all the questions are. We can guess, some of them are obvious, but some of them are going to become less obvious. Because like even think back to 07, 08 when Siri started taking over and people started talking to Siri and you'd see all these news clips. Oh, I asked Siri this and got this goofy answer. Well, we're a lot more sophisticated in talking to our devices now than we've ever been. And as we get more sophisticated in engaging with these AI language models, the quality of the information we get back is going to be equally better because we're simply better at using the tool. And so in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years, we're going to have way more insight into how do I become the answer. Today there's some tangible things you can do. There are services out there where you can submit your business to make sure that you're in the Siri database, the Amazon Alexa database, all these different things so that you can be in. It's like the old days ago, 10 years ago, let me go get my free Yelp listing so that at least if somebody's searching Yelp, I'm in the list. Those services already exist for things like Alexa and Google. You're already in there by virtue of being at Google, but Siri, there's going to be, I would assume, some methodology to be able to submit your information to these AI engines so that they're aware you exist. In Google's case, you probably won't have to because Google, all they have to do is flip a switch and their BARD system can read the Google index and then suddenly it knows everything that Google.com knows. But it comes back to structuring the content and trying to have some sort of a plan, some sort of an intelligence going into the information that's on, that is online about your business and balancing the user experience with, boy, if I could just have an encyclopedia about my business and, even down to the procedures. Nobody wants to put their quality control checklist on the website for a customer to see. It creates issues and just nobody does it. But maybe in the behind the scenes stuff, you do want to put that into it for the AI to see.
Sure.
It goes back to like the products you use and the material data sheets, all this stuff. Nobody puts that stuff on their website because they know their consumer doesn't want to, they don't care. They don't want to read this. But maybe for AI, they do. I'm sorry?
And it's just way too much, right? The
It
consumer,
is.
it's just, no, it's not what I'm looking for.
If
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, if they're asking questions and AI is reading this and they're, give me a cleaning company near me that uses green cleaning products that can clean my home on Saturday, that will send a 3-person team because I want them out of my house quickly. It kind of filters down the whole sales process too. I would think that you're going to get less bad leads because the ones that are coming to you, you're exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, as long as you have the information where basically that lead is going to qualify or disqualify themselves before you even know they exist.
Yeah. So you're close. You might not get an overwhelming amount of leads, but the ones that you're getting off of that would probably have a very high close rate. They're probably sold before they contact you.
Yeah, theoretically, that absolutely would make sense. I mean, let's say today the average cleaning service, if they're doing everything right, maybe they close 25% of all their leads because 20% of them are tire kickers, 20% of them you hire somebody else before you can get them on the phone, all this. What if instead of closing 25% of all leads, you start closing 40% of all leads, even if your total number of leads goes down 20%? Your net growth is still going to be there if you get pre-qualified. We've been trying to do it for years with hiring. How do you pre-qualify a hiring candidate so that I don't have to waste an hour on a Zoom meeting just to find out you don't qualify for the job? We've all been doing that. So what if we can do the similar type process where the information that you present about your business is basically honing in and defining the sweet spot of who your customers are? I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying that please make sure in any content you do, in any ads you do, don't mention apartment cleaning because they live in a college town. They know that they don't ever want to go out to do a 500 square foot apartment. I said, absolutely. So if you can hone in on what the sweet spot is for your market, nationally, I would say the sweet spot is, the homeowner with the 2,000 to 3,000 square foot home that They're probably still working, not retired. They probably have kids that are a little older, but they're still at home. You can identify who the sweet spot of your client is, but also depending on your market. Like for instance, if I'm in South Carolina, people a lot of times here look for maid services. If I'm in Texas, they're looking for house cleaners. If I'm in the Pacific Northwest, people look for home cleaning services. It's all the same thing, but you have to know the nuances of that for the specific market, just because there's slight language changes. I mean, no offense to all of us in the South, but if you were to get dropped in Seattle, all of us would be laughed at as soon as we open their mouth. I don't consider myself having an accent, but I have family from Wisconsin, and when I get on the phone with them, they laugh at me. Oh man, you sound like a hit. Okay, fair enough. That's fine.
We
But-
have some experience with that, Paul. We centralized a call center here in Charleston, and we were supporting some companies in the Northwest, and the accent was
Barrier.
yeah, it was one of many.
Well, there was an article last week on something at Forbes or Fortune or something like that, that they did a study, some university did a study that people with a deep Southern accent earn less money over their lifetime just because of intrinsic biases in society. I was like, okay, I could see that. That's why before everything got shipped overseas, all the call centers were in Kansas, because that was considered nondescript accent world. You go to Wichita, Kansas 20 years ago, and the whole city was just a series of call centers.
So here's one. Are you aware, are there any products out there that will, like, just real-time phone conversation will change the tone of my voice and my accent to make it more appealing to whatever demographic or part of the country I'm talking to?
There are voice modulators, but I don't know that they're necessarily integrated into a telephone service. Of course, on here, I could have a voice modulator on my microphone that even before it gets into the streaming service would change it. So but it's all two-step type
You
stuff.
can change the pitch and stuff like that, but actually the cadence and the accent to make it sound like, I'm from Boston, or make it sound like I'm from
I don't know. There
Seattle.
may be some novelty apps that do that.
Oh, there you go.
Don't think
That's $1 million idea that I just put out here.
I don't know if it's real world. I don't know if it's real world, but
There's no need, because AI can make the calls itself. It doesn't, you
Right.
don't need a human being. AI can make the call. It can have all the information, and AI can answer the questions better than you can.
But would it be smart enough to answer it in a certain accent that would be most appealing to?
Yes, absolutely. So there's no,
that'd be an interesting concept, being able to geolocate or geo-target a voice response based on
Yeah.
where you are. If
So
you're nationwide.
if I've got a customer in the Southeast, my voice is different than the Northwest. The accent.
It's almost like incorporating, there's something called neuro-linguistic programming, integrating that into a digital operator, which would be an interesting concept. Boy, talking about getting off topic, but that would be interesting.
one of the things that I'm wondering is, won't it be nice when we get a new client and we can just ask AI based on everything that person has posted anywhere, everywhere. Of course, the prompts will be there for us. The prompts are going to be easy in a while. Tell us what they care about in their home. Tell us what to clean. What are the top 10 things that we should count on, or that we should focus on in Mrs. Johnson's home? They're going to know that. AI is going to know. It's going to be able to tell us. This is what they care about. This is the things that they buy. This is how you should clean Mrs. Johnson's home.
The irony is that the better the technology gets for compiling that type of a profile, it's running concurrent with, especially in Europe, but we follow it, the concerns over privacy, where they're actually blocking these sophisticated tools from even being able to do that. So as we get more sophisticated with being able to answer that type of a question, we're running up against more and more laws that prevent you. And I'm not here to say which way is right. I mean, if I could unplug from the internet sometimes, I'd be thrilled, but the internet knows way more about us than we'd ever care to admit. And we just kind of go through life hoping it doesn't matter. But
Well,
it's
we're
interesting.
we're looking like at MaidCentral and looking at all the communications that we have with customers to see if we can use AI to customize work instructions for a home or identify if they're at risk or a lot of different things. But the idea, I mean, we do like two-way texting and email and stuff like that. So we capture a ton of information just through maintaining that relationship. We're just trying to see, can we use that information to better identify what they really want and come up with a better scope of work than what we would get if we just asked them.
Well, the other thing that you could do, and the technology's already here to build it, it's sophisticated, but if you could get a profile for a customer, what they like, don't like, there is technology already here that it would build a dynamic web page, like a landing page for that user that focuses on what they're interested in.
Here,
Mhm.
The e-commerce folks, the big like Zappos with their shoes and things like that, where if they have a profile of, you log in and you know what you bought. The best example I have is we shop at Food Lion, welcome to the Carolinas, and there's an app and you can save all kinds of money. But what they do is they present deals based on your previous 12 months of shopping experience to try and get you to go back into the store instead of going to their competitor. That technology already exists. It's just you have to get access to the information. And so the challenge of a small business or local business is getting that kind of consumer information. And to be able to, a lead in the last 6 months, they've hired 3 services because they're finicky. Wouldn't it be nice to kind of soft pedal that lead so you don't have the headache? I mean, there's always, or if someone fired their last one because they forgot to clean the top of the refrigerator, wouldn't it be nice to know that so that you can go ahead and put that on their customer record? And whatever you do, don't forget to clean the top of the refrigerator. But you don't always have access to that level of data. It's not like Facebook is questioning all their members about their peccadillos when it comes to cleaning a house. It would be nice if they did, but it's just a matter of how do you get that level of information. And I know in MaidCentral, you've got the feedback system where you can analyze that, but you got to get the information before you can act on it.
Yeah. So it's just, the whole sales process, and the idea of sending out a template to prospects, a marketing campaign, eventually those are all going to be customized. Everybody's going to get a different template based on what information they've given you, what pages they've been to on your website, the stuff the data you've collected on them. You'll give them more of a customized pitch than what we currently capable of doing.
It may be literally as simple as this. If you track a user on your website and you see this particular user spent 45 seconds on your cleaning checklist and only 15 seconds on your pricing page, then in the quote to make sure to give them as comprehensive of a checklist as possible, because that's what they're using to justify the expense of the service. Or if somebody comes to your homepage and the only thing they do is go to the quote page, then they probably don't care too much about the specifics. They're more price sensitive. And so you decide maybe your follow-up email to them includes a first-time promotion to get them to buy into the program. It's exactly what you're talking about, but in a tangible sense. Just look at the user journey through your business and your website, and based on certain criteria of how long they spent in different sections, you can tailor that follow-up email to that experience. But I guarantee you, someone who spends 60 seconds looking at your cleaning checklist is more concerned with the details than someone who just jumps to the get a quote page. And that's just one example, but there's a lot of different ways of segmenting that information on your site, and maybe you do have a list of the products you use to provide services and someone spends 3 minutes reading through that. Then maybe you have an email follow up to them that said, hey, did you know that our general purpose cleaner is XYZ? And here's 3 reasons why we chose that product, and it's great, blah, blah, blah. And then your service sales process is almost selling the product you chose to use to help close the service side of it. So yeah, I can see a value certainly in being able to parse that information out of something as simple as like Google Analytics. You know, there'd be value there.
Paul, Don's got a question that kind of fits into this. She's asking, are we able to use AI to handle sales calls?
Today, I'm not aware of anything that does that in the sense that we're talking about, but it's coming. And I know we touched on this in other conversations, Tom, but there's going to be a time where someone, whether it's AT&T or Comcast or CallRail, one of these big phone companies, is going to have a digital operator that answers the phone, and you won't be able to tell you're not talking to a human because you can engage with it, you can ask questions, and it'll have access to the answers, and it can be trained in how it guides a conversation. It can be trained as a salesperson that is effective. Now, how effective is going to depend on how well we train that tool. If all it is giving a price because you integrate into a price system, that's not making a sale. That's collecting people who are price conscious, and suddenly you've got 100 customers that are all price conscious and they're constantly shopping around. So it's all going to come down, all of these engines, doesn't matter what it is, they're only as good as the information that we use to train it. So if you can break down your sales process and that there's 5-6 steps in the average buying decision, or if you know exactly at what point the light bulb goes off and they've decided to say yes, and you can document and articulate that process and then train an AI engine to duplicate it, then theoretically speaking, you could have a consistent sales process where you don't have the human nature of, oh, I've got a salesperson, they're really good, but about every 3 weeks, their sales go down because they're tired of making phone calls and tired of saying the same thing over and over again. Once you perfect it, then there should be no inconsistencies at all in that process, because it's going to be able to address any concern and it's going to be consistent. There won't be the human nature of, oh, wow, I made no sales today, but then I woke up this morning and I stubbed my toe and I got notification of my insurance premium going up. So I'm just having a bad day, so I'm not going to be as effective on the sales, on the phone today. With AI, obviously, if you train it right, there is none of that. So I think it's coming, but it's not here yet. And there's not, in 6 months, are all 3 of us going to be doing this show, but none of us are going to be here because it's going to be a digital avatar of us having a conversation. And your personal AI avatar is going to have a conversation with mine, maybe, but it's not there yet.
That's what we're working towards.
Just get a digital version of me so I can just sit on the beach all day and nobody's going to know the difference.
Oh my God.
And when you ask the question in context of sales, in the home services business, sales is pretty much what they refer to as like inbound sales. Prospects are reaching out to you and saying, hey, I'm interested in getting my home clean. Can you tell me, more? Can you give me a quote? Business to business sales, a lot of it's what they call outbound sales. Mm-hmm. It's like cold calling, and it's digital. It's a lot of stuff. They get lists of prospects and do all kinds of things to try to proactively convince people. I mean, we saw MaidCentral, part of that's outbound, where we just, know people have cleaning businesses that would benefit by having MaidCentral, and we send them emails and call them and do different things. That's called outbound sales. There are AI tools out there that build lists, and I would suspect the day is coming when they're going to have the ability to do that with consumers, and they'll look at your social media feed, they'll look at your buying habits, they'll look at all kinds of stuff to determine that, this person is pretty much giving us all the indications that they'd really groove on a house cleaning service. Maybe they look at Google reviews and find out that you gave your current house cleaning company a 1-star review. Next thing you know, you're showing up on some type of outbound marketing list for a competitor. Those tools, they might be out there now. There's some AI list building tools which are pretty interesting.
Well, that's absolutely true. And the way I would see it, let's use MaidCentral outbound sales as a tool. I mean, it's a very robust, complicated, 100 moving part program. You could use an outbound AI to sell that service, but I think in the short term, what you're going to actually tangibly be selling is probably getting people to sign up for some sort of a introductory webinar type thing. You're not going to be selling the software. You're going to be selling an opportunity to learn more about the software and
Right.
keeping it simple. To go back to the residential cleaning business, you're probably not going to be selling residential cleaning services in the short term. You're probably going to be selling an opportunity to get a customized cleaning quote. And what you're trying to do is set a time to be able to connect with a human being, whether it's through a webinar or a Zoom meeting or just even scheduling a phone call, so that your outbound sales team. I mean, the residential cleaning, the biggest complaint I hear consistently is I can call somebody 100 times, they never answer the phone. Whoever is doing the follow-up sales in a cleaning business, that's the worst job. You know, just banging your head against the window, trying to get a hold of people. Well, if you can automate that through AI and have some sort of a script that the AI can follow, you know, oh, somebody answered from company A. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have and give you a question and let the AI do that process so that the sales staff can just come in at the end to do the final close. It's kind of like the old, in the old days, you go buy a new car and somewhere towards the end of the mix, if you actually made it that far, you talk to a manager. The
Right.
salesman would evaporate and suddenly the heavyweight would come in. Or if you've ever done, it's not as popular anymore, but the old timeshare things, you know, and the AI is going to be the frontline sales process. And then if you make it through certain criteria, then you get to talk to the human being. And that human being, all they are is a closer. They're not a salesperson anymore. They're just a closer. And I can see some serious benefit to that and using AI to do that, so that even if you're buying lists and doing robo dialing with AI and you talk to, you know, you make 1,000 phone calls a day to just homeowners in your market, out of those 1,000 people, maybe 4 people are qualified to actually get a quote. And those are the 4 people your sales staff gets to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Because you can buy those lists and you can
I
do
mean,
most of that technology exists today. It's just a matter of how do you integrate it with AI so that it can be more effective.
yeah, in today's world, in the software world, in the MaidCentral world, the initial contact is called a sales development rep or an SDR,
Mhm.
and they're working the lists, and you know they're in LinkedIn, they're in social media, they're doing emails, they're making phone calls, yada yada yada. Catch somebody, hey, got this awesome piece of software, you want to know more about it? And if they're able to convince somebody, yes, they pass out off to an account executive, a sales engineer, somebody else to actually sell the software. Their whole job is just to get people on the top of the sales funnel. And AI could do a lot of that more, probably
They
do it
can. I
better.
mean, even beyond just
And
parsing the data to figure out who would be.
and could they eventually do that for home services? Yeah, maybe.
The
Concept that
challenge
you
is
would,
just going to be what sources are we able to pull information from?
you know, the rules going to change. Right now, it's kind of the Wild West out there. If you can get to it on the internet, it's fair game.
Yeah, and that may change. We'll see. Um, there's a lot of high level discussions about that kind of thing going on and
There's a lot
predict.
of discussions about, is AI the end of civilization as we know it? Are we all, you know, is this going to be the Terminator?
I also saw a Reddit thread where everybody on this thread, a ton of people were like, "Oh, please." Everybody's making a big to do about nothing. This is just a flash in the pan. Like, what? I I was shocked to see that. Thousands of people that are just like, this is nothing. How is this nothing? Yeah, that's kind of surprising too at this stage.
You you always you always have that, and every major paradigm shift has that, but this
The
seems to
shift.
be pretty pretty obvious this is going to be the biggest technological leap in my lifetime, at least.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that at all.
This is bigger than the
We just
VCR.
have to figure out how best to use it.
This is bigger than the microwave.
I would say it's on par with television and satellite.
How about the phone? You know, the cell phone. I mean, cell phone is pretty big
Yeah.
Radio was a pretty big deal at the time.
back in the day.
Telegraph.
In the day. Yeah. So,
Paul, we're kind of getting towards the top of the hour here. Your wealth of knowledge about AI for sure, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. You're have a broad scope of knowledge in a lot of areas, and you've incorporated that into a business, and you've spent a lot of time working in the residential cleaning industry. You want to take a minute and just talk about your business and the services you provide?
Sure. Well, I'm owner of a company called Marketing for Cleaners. We specialize in any kind of internet marketing, anything from website design and redesign to search engine optimization, a lot of online advertising through Google ads, Bing ads, social media, things like that. But that's the nuts and bolts of what we do. But our approach is really just a consultative. We understand business and we understand the inner workings of things. So how can we use our services to complement what you're already doing? It's a little bit of a different process because a lot of times you'll work with companies, whether it's a vendor that does, I don't know, pick anything, that you almost have to change how you do business just to be able to incorporate them in. And we try and work within the confines of how you already do a business. And we've been fortunate over the last 15 years. We've got quite a bit of experience talking to business owners all over the country. Probably the biggest fallacy is everybody thinks I'm super smart about cleaning businesses, and it's not so much that. It's just I listen when people talk, and I've worked with whether they're a startup or sending 80 people into the field every day. I learn from people like you so that I can then turn around and incorporate that into what I'm sharing with the next person I get to talk to. So been very fortunate to be able to connect with a wonderful group. I mean, the residential cleaning industry, the business owners that run the small, medium, and large shops around the country, by and large, it's just a wonderful group of people. So getting to talk to them is the favorite part of my job. All the nerdy stuff behind the scenes, I try and get other people to do so that I can have these kinds of conversations because it's just fun. I truly enjoy learning about someone's business and all the little nuances of how they do what they do, and then being able to kind of share some ways that we can help someone grow and be able, there's a little bit of ego involved. And if somebody calls me and says, wow, I just had 40 leads this week for the first time ever. Great. That, awesome. That makes me feel good. It's being able to, the passion that a business owner has, you can't get that energy anywhere else. And I like being able to share that with multiple people around the country. And it's fun for me. And, I'm an older guy. I don't do this because I need to put food on the table necessarily. Been doing it a long time and have a wonderful staff that supports me. So whether I show up at work on any given day, the work gets done. So I'm happy to, to be privileged enough to do that. But I do this kind of stuff because I genuinely enjoy it. It's fun for me. And
So, for just about any market, in the U.S. that's out there, it's not hard to find, a website developer near me. And if you look at their portfolio, maybe they did a website for a restaurant or a law firm or something like that. Are there advantages? I mean, I'm assuming that there are nuances between building a website that converts for a law firm versus a house cleaning business. Are there advantages working with a company to do your SEO or to build a website that actually has residential cleaning industry experience?
Well, obviously I'm biased, but I would say absolutely. And I could reference back to something I said 20 minutes ago. Is your local SEO design company, whatever, that works with a pizza restaurant and a law firm and a doctor's office and an accounting firm and a carpet cleaner, Are they going to know the difference between, hey, you're in the South, MaidCentral is the number, or maid services is the number one keyword. Oh, you're in the Midwest, and their house cleaners is your number one keyword. In the Pacific Northwest, for whatever reason, people look for home cleaning. There's things you pick up from sheer experience. Then, of course, the user experience that we've talked about a lot today, understanding what people, when somebody comes to a website, what makes them decide to pick up the phone? And there's little subtle things that you could do to guide that experience. You almost, if a website's well designed, it takes you on a journey to a place that you as the business owner want them to go. When we design a website for a residential cleaning service, the first thing you need to see is what we do, where we do, and we're the best, and here's what we want you to do. Either fill out a form or call. If you can't convey all of that instantly in a pleasing way, and we didn't invent this concept. I mean, 9 out of 10 cleaning services on their homepage, the first thing you see is smiling people and a get a quote button. It's not rocket science, but the more experience you have doing it, the easier it is to streamline that process. You don't have to do a bunch of A/B comparisons because you know what works. And then also just knowing what content to put on there. Why do people choose? Because let's be honest, if you don't know the industry, if you're just coming into it as a homeowner looking for a cleaning service, in your mind, the services have been commoditized so much that it's very difficult for you to distinguish between a good one and a bad one. That's why so many people are willing to go and hire somebody for $10 an hour and pay cash. They don't understand why that's a poor decision. So you have to be able to integrate with some nuance those types of things into a design. The other part of it is just the psychology of it. I'm fortunate enough to work, within a subset of all cleaning owners where most of them aren't trying to just get as many customers as possible. They want to be the premium service in their market. They're happy to be a little more expensive than the competition because they are happy to have loyal customers who are more concerned with quality over price. And there's certain ways to present that on a website with the quality of the photography, the adjectives that you use to describe services. Do you provide the premier cleaning services or do you provide affordable cleaning services? There's a huge difference in the kind of clientele you would build based on choosing one word.
We are like out of time here, but okay. I want to ask you this one question real quick, Paul.
Sure.
At the top, it says, get more reviews. Can you just really quickly, what is that? I think people will be really interested to hear about that.
Okay. So there's no shortage of software tools out there. And if you use MaidCentral, it can actually be built into their system. But to get more reviews on the sites that you want, whether it's Google, Yelp, Facebook, Nextdoor, you name it, you have to ask people. And you have to ask everybody. Because human nature is, if you're getting the service you expect, you don't ever give a compliment. The only reviews, if you don't ask everybody, the reviews you tend to get are the people who want to complain.
Right.
Let's go to our favorite fast food restaurant, pick one, anyone, and you go in there for lunch once a week. If you get the sandwich and fries that you expect to get, do you ever ask for the manager and go, hey, good job today? No, you just take your food and go. But if there's a problem with it, do you ask for the manager? Absolutely. People are more likely to complain than to compliment. So if you're going to have a good reputation online, you better manage it. And the best way to manage it is to ask everybody for a review. And even with a good tool that facilitates that process of asking everybody for a review, you're still only going to see 4, 5, 6%, of people will take the time to do it. But that difference can make all the difference in the world, because the best way to combat a bad review is to get 5 good ones. And
kind of bury it.
Right.
So,
there's tools out there that facilitate doing that.
I've taken the URL to your website, marketingforcleaners.com, and I've dropped it in chat. If anyone in our audience wants to know more about your business or have a conversation with you, I presume they just hit you up through your website.
Yeah, there's a big orange button somewhere out there that says free consultation. That's my personal calendar.
Right there.
And they can schedule. Talk about wanting to do making it simple for people. What do you want people to do? You want an appointment. Hey, there's my little face.
He's got some time on Thursday. Tomorrow. Paul, this was really good information. I love having these discussions.
It's fun to talk about the AI and like the different ways to look at it, right? It's not the same old conversation. It's fun.
The only advice I would give is don't let it scare you, but don't put your head in the sand either. Just engage so that you're aware of what's going on and you can be prepared to adjust because it's changing every day.
Look at
Yeah.
this as an opportunity. You know,
Absolutely.
things are a lot different now than they were 10 years ago. Things are going to be a lot different 2 years from now than they are at the moment. But you know, information is power, and we're, you know, sharing information here that we need to be incorporating our thought processes. People like Paul are out there doing some really cool stuff, and you know, it's coming. Let's just keep our ear to the ground and be ready to put this new technology to work when it's available.
And it's going to be fun. Look at it
So,
as fun. It's change. It's exciting.
Exciting. Yeah.
so we're going to call it a wrap for today. Next Wednesday, you'll be here before we know it. So we'll be back next Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Until then, everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
y'all. Thanks, Paul.